Hello and welcome to the show, brought to you by Deskmakers. I'm your host, James Kent. I'm super excited to be talking to you today. I assure you, this is going to be a very cool topic. Deskmakers was founded in 1964 in East Los Angeles as a manufacturer of laminate case goods. Today, they are a state-of-the-art facility and one of the leading office furniture manufacturers on the West Coast. They recently teamed up with Gecco Vision, an award-winning design firm spearheaded by founder and design director Henner Jahns. Together, they've created a brand new case goods line that is sure to knock your socks off. I've seen it, and honestly, it blows me away. The new line is called Ribbon, and it takes advantage of today's growing trend of open office spaces by marrying together classic design with a mid-century modern aesthetic to create a stunning series of pieces that would be ideal in any office environment. And today, we're going to unpack the Ribbon collection with my two guests. Joining me are Phil Polishhook, the owner and CEO of Deskmakers, and, as previously mentioned, Henner Jahns, President and Design Director of Gecco Vision. Phil and Henner, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me here.
I'm going to let the cat out of the bag right now, and in trying to describe the visual style of this new case goods line, one word comes to mind, and that is delicious. I'm a huge fan of mid-century modern design, and what I like about what you've created is that the form is gorgeous, yes, but it also has a contemporary feel that isn't mid-century retro. And the pieces, more importantly, are functional. It's not about a slick look that doesn't perform beyond eye candy. I'm an instant fan, so why don't you tell me the genesis of how Ribbon came about?
We at Deskmakers have always been really strong in the private office. And the last few years, in the office furniture industry and the commercial interior design industry, there's been a real focus on the open plan. And at Deskmakers, we focused a lot on the open plan, and we actually partnered with Henner back in 2012 and 2013 to create a line called Teamworks that was super successful, that was mostly an open plan product, but also had private office applications. This time, we really took it from the opposite direction. And we looked at our sales figures and realized, hey, we're still selling a lot of private office case goods. And the private office is still pretty strong, even though all the publicity in the commercial design industry went more towards open plan and other products. And the private office was kind of a little bit of a bastard stepchild. So we thought, let's create a new, cool, somewhat executive, so a little bit higher price than our traditional products. Let's create a kind of cool new aesthetic for the private office. And Henner being located in Los Angeles and having partnered with us successfully on the Teamworks product was really the first person we thought of to work with for this product.
And Henner, what was the inspiration behind the design?
Well, there's obviously a lot of factors that go into the design process, and it's always a collaboration. So just getting the information from Deskmakers and especially from Phil is a very important part at the beginning of the project. And Teamworks as well as Ribbon were very successful in the beginning already, meaning we got a very good idea from Phil as to what he's looking for. So with him having said that it was supposed to be a little bit upper scale, but still modern, elegant, we really look for inspirations that are simplistic and still fulfill the functional need of a private office product. So at one point we came about this notion of a ribbon, which can be a very simple shape. And we took that and basically translated that into a leg shape that has a simple, and as you mentioned, a little bit of mid-century inspired form factor, and at the same time can be combined with different elements, and just creates a different, more upscale appearance for the product. And another interesting part that Phil said from the very beginning, which also plays, I mean, we started this project about 4 years ago, but plays into the visionary qualities, because he said, this product has to be good looking 360 degrees. And now with the pandemic, there's a lot of private offices with glass. And in that context, it really hit the nail on the head, so to speak, of being a product that is not only contemporary and elegant, but also very contemporary when it comes to the current developments in office environments.
It really, what Henner said about looking really good from 360 degrees behind glass, I feel like this is a product that in a company, in a corporate setting where it's mostly open office, but you have the private offices and the conference rooms behind glass around the perimeter of the building. I think that looking at these offices is just going to be a wow. That it's just going to walk in and say, wow, that is just a cool design. And that was really what we were going for with this product. And I think Henner succeeded in the design.
Okay, let's talk about the specific components of the ribbon collection. What's available in the ribbon collection?
It started, interestingly, it started as a private office concept, and it is mostly a private office concept. But there was also tables. So it's really private office and tables. It's not really designed for the open plan. You could put the products out in the open, but it's not really, it doesn't have the types of things that most open office systems have. It's really designed for private office and tables. And there's two different major leg styles. And this is a little bit hard to describe, but one is for, basically for the desks and for large tables, and the other is for small tables. And, in both cases, the steel legs twist as they go up. And that was really what was most unique about the design. And Henner can speak to that a little bit more. That was also what was most complicated about the design from an engineering perspective, and why it took so long for us to actually launch the product.
Yeah, so when it comes to the design detail of the leg, as I said, the initial inspiration being a ribbon. So it basically, it folds, and then like Phil described, it does take a little twist, which adds to the structural integrity, but also gives it a unique visual twist, so to speak. That was the thought behind it. And as always with simple things, they look very simple in the end, but it's a big development that stands, or that is followed or prior to the launch of the product. And it was not easy to make this simplicity work. There were a lot of steps involved to really make it work.
Phil, as a follow-up, when you mentioned tables and you mentioned large-size tables, are we talking like conference room type tables?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, conference tables. Yeah, which is also a key part of our business. And we sell a lot of private offices. We sell a lot of conference tables. We sell a lot of open plan systems. But I'd say our number 1 and 2 sellers as a company or categories are still private offices and conference room furniture.
Right.
So having a design that also worked in conference rooms, it was a real huge plus behind this, behind the ribbon line.
Deskmakers furniture collections are offered through dealer networks, and while a client might be looking for a one-off solution, many businesses have furniture standards and could be looking for their dealer to provide a total solution. How does ribbon fit into that equation, and are there specific office scenarios that this line is tailored to?
First off, ribbon is definitely not the least expensive option out there for furnishing private offices. Even within Deskmakers, it's our most expensive private office line. And so for dealers, we generally at Deskmakers integrate multiple product lines into a specification. So it could be that using the other product Henner designed for us, Teamworks, in the open plan, while using ribbon in the private offices and conference rooms, or even using a third Deskmaker product in the conference rooms, or of course also integrating products using similar finishes or the same finish from other manufacturers. And typically dealers try and create the most, try and tailor their solutions for their customers using multiple product lines. We understand that. We love when dealers give us the entire floor plan, but they rarely do. They usually mix our products into amongst many manufacturers. And that's what we expect with
Ribbon could make a nice complementary fit into other lines. That's great.
Well, when Phil was talking about the conference tables that could be featured with a ribbon leg, there's also a smaller meeting table that if you have a setup in a private office where we created a special leg, which is more of a single leg. So even within the office, if you have a meeting room or a meeting table within the office, there is a leg detail that kind of not only goes with the line, is part of the product line that really ties into the look. And I think that's a good addition to have, besides the conference tables, that you have a design detailed leg that works with meeting tables inside private office.
You know, Henner, I'm glad you brought that up. That was one of the reasons why I asked that question about the conference tables, because I do know that within an office, quite often you'll have like a smaller meeting table, you know, for intimate meetings of like 3-4 type people. So that's great to know that that's also available.
That's very typical in executive offices. And Ribbon, the original spec was that this should be for executive offices in particular. It doesn't have to be for executive offices, but it's often typical in an executive office, which is usually larger, that you have a separate meeting area, 5 or 8 feet away from the main desk.
Now, something that may not have been as much of an opportunity in the past could be something businesses and corporations are looking towards more and more these days as a result of the pandemic, and that is a office for, say, an executive or an employee's home. I've been a part of a video webcasts where the guest I'm speaking to, who represents a particular organization, they're calling in from home. So that remote environment is becoming important from a visual standpoint. And I think the Ribbon collection could be a great fit in certain instances for these remote office locations. Are you seeing any traction there?
Well, as a company, we're definitely seeing traction with the home office market. And our dealers are definitely seeing traction. Oftentimes our dealers are working with companies in their region to create home office standards. And because the companies themselves are offering their employees a stipend of some sort to set up their home office. And given that Ribbon can ship relatively flat, because the legs are shipped separately or can ship separately from the work surface, and the design aesthetic, I think, would look pretty good in a home. I do think they'll, at some point, we'll be able to develop sales for the home office market using Ribbon.
Yeah, I mean, there's just an interesting fact that the listeners might be interested in terms of the home office, because there's 2 big categories for home office. There's the places where people actually have enough space to have a room as an office. And then there's a lot of people that do not have that extra room, where the so-called home office has to be integrated either in the living area and the bedroom area. So those 2 categories are obviously substantially different and heavily influence the choice of furniture depending on what scenario you're in.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Phil and Henner, one of the great things about Deskmakers lines are, not only the configuration possibilities, but there are many finishing options, a lot of variety to choose from. How does Ribbon fall in line with that? Will people have the same types of laminate finish options as some of your other lines? How are they similar, or what is different about the ordering process for Ribbon?
Typically, one of the things that we like to promote about Deskmakers is something we call design flexibility. And design flexibility involves different sizes, different styles, being able to mix and match different of our product lines within one setup or one office. But finishes are a key part of that. So we have, I think, about 22 standard finishes. And then we also offer hundreds of other finishes via high pressure laminates. And so I envision our customers, as they always do, will choose lots of different finishes to work with ribbon. Now, we happen to design it and do most of our prototypes around some medium walnut finishes, which are very popular now and do have a little bit of a mid-century modern look to them. And so some of the images that people will see during this podcast or the video version of the podcast will probably have that walnut finish, because that's the one that we really love. It particularly looks good with the black version of the leg, but it also looks good with silver or white versions of the leg. We foresee people doing lots of different finishes, but the walnuts right now seem to be very popular.
I know that ribbon is a new product launch. Obviously, the pandemic's had an effect on materials and manufacturing process, lead times. What are the manufacturing lead times currently on the ribbon collection?
Well, that's been a challenge for every company in our industry, and a challenge for worldwide. As you've probably heard, even companies like Toyota are furloughing their factories because they can't get chips for their cars.
The ribbon collection doesn't have any chips
we're not,
in it, right?
No, we don't have any chips in the collection at the moment. But well, that's actually not partially incorrect, because you could put, at some point we might integrate a height adjustable version of ribbon, but not at the moment. So, but anyway, so like lots of companies worldwide in multiple industries, we are having challenges with supply chain right now. And ribbon is very demanding in terms of the steel manufacturing behind doing the twist and the shape of the leg. The leg is made domestically, so that's the good news. As a matter of fact, it's made right here in Southern California. And so that gives us more control of our supply chain than if it was made in Asia. So that's the good news. The bad news is that it is running around 10 weeks or so right now, which is way beyond our normal lead times for Deskmakers. We're usually a 3 to 5 week lead time company, but coming out of the pandemic with supply chain issues and labor challenges that lots of companies have had, we're running about 10 weeks.
I mean, hey, look, everyone's going through it. So, it's just more excitement and time to anticipate your gorgeous ribbon collection arriving.
Yes.
Phil and Henner, as we begin to wrap up, is there anything else we should know about the ribbon collection from either a design standpoint, manufacturing standpoint, or even a sustainability standpoint? What else should we highlight?
Well, I'll just add that I really do think it's a wow collection. We showed prototypes of the product, and the prototypes were very much what the final product really looked like, with some very, very small tweaks. We showed some prototypes at an event we had about a month before the pandemic hit in the United States. So we had an event on February 12th, 2020 in the showroom of our sales reps in downtown Los Angeles, Rodenbeck Associates. And it was a very successful event where we showed ribbon. And little did we know that 4 weeks later we'd all be locked down. But there were just so many wows and so many people standing and looking underneath the product and taking pictures of the product. And really the mood was, wow, this is a really impressive product. When can I order it? And a few weeks later, nobody was thinking about ordering office furniture, but I think that just kind of demonstrated the excitement that there was around the product. And of course, with a delay of another year and a half, now we're hoping that excitement level is generated by the official launch.
Henner, take a bow. You should be very proud.
We are very proud of the product. And again, it's always a collaborative process. It's not an isolated process at all. It's a collaboration where you have to talk to the manufacturer, you have to talk to the fabricator. But it's exciting. It's always exciting when a product comes to life and actually is being launched. Very excited about the product. So we're happy.
Hey, I'm excited about it as well. Now, most important, before we go, what's the best way for people to see the ribbon collection? I know the pandemic, trade shows might be difficult. I wasn't sure if there's any upcoming expos where dealers can see the ribbon collection, or certainly if they want, they can go online to deskmakers.com and see ribbon and get a brochure. But what do people need to know? And if someone is listening who is interested in potentially outfitting their business with a new furniture solution, what's the best way for them to get in touch with a Deskmaker dealer?
Going to our website would be the best way. And on the website, there's a way for end users or architects and designers to contact us, and we will connect them with either one of our sales team in their region or directly with one of the dealers that's in their region. And we have dealers all over the country.
Henner, if people want to reach out to Gecco Vision, what's the best way for them to do that?
Website, gecco-vision.com, and that's Gecco, not with a CK. So gecco-vision.com.
Excellent. Phil Polishuk, owner and CEO of Deskmakers, and Henner, Jahns and Jahns. That's right. People, if you call him by either last name, he'll respond to you. President and design director at Gecco Vision. As I said at the top of the program, I love the look of the ribbon collection, the lines, configurations. It's very smart and pleasing. And I wish you both a lot of success with it.
Thanks, James.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I really appreciate you both coming on the show today, and I appreciate your time. And I also appreciate the time that you've spent tuning into this show, brought to you by Deskmakers. We'll be back with more episodes, so stay tuned for those. In the meantime, I'm your host, James Kent. Let's talk again soon.